Good afternoon, and welcome to the City of Pasco special meeting. The council thanks you for being part of our city government. At special meetings, the council takes formal actions on specific items and may hold a public hearing and conduct other business of the city. Agenda packets are available at the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC TV channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and GoToWebinar. This and previous council meetings videos is available on the city's website. Lastly, we'd like to announce the presence of our Spanish interpreter, Mr. Cruz, which is in the back there, and who is here to assist anyone requiring interpretational services. Mr. Cruz, could you kindly approach the podium and introduce yourself in Spanish and ascertain if any members of the audience require interpretation?
Mi nombre es Jaime Cruz, soy el intérprete desde hoy y pueden agarrar los aparatos a su mano izquierda si ocupan intérprete de español.
All right, thank you. And with that, we would like to call the order.
All right, Councilmember Barajas.
Present.
Councilmember Blaisdell.
Present.
Councilmember Grimm.
Here.
Councilmember Harpster.
Present.
Councilmember Perales.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne.
I am here.
And Mayor Serrano.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, with that, can we get rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with that, we're going to move on to number 4, hearings and council action on ordinance and resolutions related thereto. So we have item A, which is public hearing and resolution number 4445, substantial amendments to the 2021-2024 annual action work plans. So we need to, ready, Sarah? Or I'm sorry.
Regis Iqbal.
Regis, yes. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Milne. We are here today for reallocation of CDBG funds from year 2021 to 2024. Each year, CDBG funds are allocated to many programs within and around the city. And sometimes there are projects like the one in question today, which is for Lewis Street 2nd to 5th Avenue corridor improvement. So over the years, there's been some of the CDBG funding that has been allocated to this project that we've been planning on, especially after the culmination of Lewis Street overpass. And as a part of the process, CDBG is a federal funding provided by HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development Department, and we have a specific path that we usually each year go through for allocation of the money that we receive from them. At this time, this is a little bit unique for the city. We usually do not do this kind of substantial reallocation outside of that cycle. But when we do, we have to give a 30-day comment period, which we have done. So today is the 31st day. And our Planning Commission also has to recommend to council that they believe that this is within the spirit of CDBG and that it is good for the community. So yesterday's meeting, special meeting with the Planning Commission, they voted to approve or recommend to council the reallocation of the funding from the 2nd to 5th Avenue Lewis Street corridor improvement to the Small Business Assistance Program for the impact from the Lewis Street overpass construction project. They also had an additional recommendation, which was that we look for other sources of funding, be it internal to the city or external to the city, with some of our chambers, in partnership with some of our chambers, maybe our legislators, whatever that looks like, and assist us continue to look for avenues to assist this group of businesses. And with that, we're open to any questions that you may have. But at this time, for today, we're looking for a direction from council in terms of reallocation of the funds for this particular purpose. All of the, we have opened up the application per council's direction, and we will continue to do that, but we do need some, you don't have to make the decision today, but we do need some sort of deadline on closing the, all of the applications, or a decision on when we close the program, essentially. We're recommending probably the next 2 months we keep it open, and that gives people enough time. And then, but in the meantime, that we do a first come, first serve, so that people who are submitting their applications and meeting all of the requirements of the grant, we are able to get swift assistance.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open it up to my other councilmen or council members and see if they have any comments or questions.
Deputy City Manager Sigdell, just for clarification, when you said kind of first come, first serve, does that mean that once somebody's application is processed, they would then, I guess, be allotted the applicable amount then, or would they have to wait for the whole 60 days to see how many people apply, or?
We're recommending that you allow for somebody who's completed their application and shown the impact, that we release the funds to them. So if somebody's coming in on the 55th day and there's no more funds left, then that would be a challenge, and we would not have funding to give out. But given the necessity in the area, we're recommending that we give funding as we release the funding as they fill out their applications and they meet all of the requirements of the grant.
Okay, and I understand that, and that makes a lot of sense to get the money to people sooner rather than later also. So are you also looking for us to set a cap amount on that to where, you know, the first 8 businesses don't gobble it all up?
Yeah.
Or?
The cap that we've discussed in the past has been $15,000. So we recommend we keep with that.
Okay.
A lot of the feedback that we've received, and it's not surprising, is the fact that many people feel like they cannot meet the requirements of the grant. So we believe that 15,000 is still a doable amount of cap for people who qualify.
Okay, and can I ask, I did listen to the meeting last night remotely and missed the first few minutes, but went back and watched it. Can I ask, you know, as you're getting this feedback, what is the biggest hang up or obstacle or hurdle that is keeping, you know, people from completing their application?
The feedback that we've heard so far has been that HUD and CDBG grants are supposed to go for low to moderate income area and individuals. So it's not an or calculation, it's an and calculation. And Ms. Webb over here will correct me if I say anything wrong. So our downtown area is a low to moderate income area. So it meets the requirements as a geography. And then you have to be a low to moderate income business. But if you're exceeding that amount that is set by HUD, then you're not eligible. So that's one challenge. I believe I've heard from some people that some of the requirements of needing to get a TIN number or UEI number is a hardship. And I think rightfully so, there's some feelings of why do we have to go through this bureaucratic process for something where we were impacted, and it needs to be a much easier process to receive those funds. So those three have been the major feedback that we've received, and I'm sure, given each business and each personal finance is individual, everybody has their pain points in the process.
And if I can just have you elaborate on one of those, when you talked about income, is that like the total sales of the business or profit, or is that the 1040? Do you know what specifically is the hang up there?
So, we have to go by their gross receipts taxes.
Okay.
So that's what we take as far as the income. So it just depends. If we say we had a person and they were the only one in their household, the only one in their business, the cap, say, was $10,000, they made $12,000, they don't qualify.
Okay. No, thank you. And having, being in business myself, and when my wife and I, when we first bought our business, I mean, we had to get an SBA loan, a 501, or which is 701 or 501. I can't even remember. It was almost 2 decades ago now. But I remember my wife actually saved all the little sign here slips when we left out because of all the, the hurdles, all of the bureaucracy we had to go through for that. And I know it was painful. It was difficult. I mean, from background, I had to take State Patrol background tests. There was a lot of stuff that I even felt was unnecessary, but I understand the federal government requirements are unchangeable by us here at the city level, their requirements for that. There's pretty much nothing we can do about that, correct?
That is correct. And we, especially Ms. Webb here, has met with the HUD representative for our area who assists us with all of the unique problems and the day-to-day operations if Kristen has any questions, concerns about the program. And we went through the program to figure out what would be the least restrictive of CDBG funds and program to pick, and microenterprise was one that was recommended to us. And within that, we went through all of the requirements with them, challenging whether that is something that is truly a requirement or we could do away with, and came up with the requirements of the grant at this time. And we do not believe that we could change it, given the process that we've already been through, that has been pretty rigorous.
Okay, thank you. And I guess just for the business owners in attendance, I guess I'd like to say, you use the term substantial reallocation, and really, nearly unprecedented. And I believe that is because this project is substantial. It is nearly unprecedented. It, rather than, allowing kind of painful access or inconvenient access to business, this more or less just dead-ended the whole area and really did kind of create a hardship. And I think that's why we're all here and we're all considering this. Is we hear you guys. It was terrible down there. I mean, I think most of us have probably been down there and seen all that. And so I think we understand that, and that's why we are looking at these funding sources. And I guess I like the idea of 60 days too that you mentioned, to give people enough time to, get together an application. I hope as many that need it are able to, qualify for it and, to go forward. And I also concur with the Planning Commission's recommendation that, if there are other grants or subsidies of some point that, we find out about or made available, that yes, what we can do to help would be great. So thank you.
Councilwoman Boston.
I just have one question. Is everyone opened now since the overpasses? Is there anyone that did not reopen? And how many people do you have turned in their application already?
We have 5 people who have
Okay.
turned in their applications.
Thank you.
Do we have any comments from, Mr. Harpster? take him first.
Not at this time, thank you.
Right.
Deputy
Serrano?
Mayor, I've got a comment. This is Pete Serrano.
Okay.
I've got a comment question and then a question. So with the comment question, I see in the body of our agenda report, and you just talked about this, Ms. Sigdell, the $15,000 cap. Yet there's nothing in the resolution to indicate that's the case. Was that intentional? Because that's kind of staff's suggestion and subject to council approval, and then we would need to and I guess if that's the case, then Mr. Ferguson, we need to modify the resolution accordingly if we stick the landing on a particular dollar amount per head or per business.
We can definitely add to the resolution to create a cap. The challenge that we have with this grant is we don't want the cap to be too high that we're not going to be able to help a lot of people. And I think 15,000 is still up there because we were calculating that we were going to have less than 30 businesses, but right now we have about 39. But the feedback that we're hearing is that there's quite a few who would not qualify. And so that gets you back to that range that we're thinking. But then also trying to help in a meaningful way for people who would qualify so it does not get peanut butter spread. And then would we do a second round to kind of capture them again? So there is a little bit of a flexibility that would be great, but we're definitely open to creating a hard cap and coming back to council if that needs to be changed.
I would say I would echo that preference. I think, and again, I don't know if Mr. Ferguson's present. I apologize. I'm just joining via phone. My thought is that the resolution might need to be changed in that second whereas to place the $15,000 cap if council so desires. You know, assuming we were to pass this and assuming we were to want a cap, I think it would most appropriately fit in the whereas. And to your point, Ms. Sigdell, we could bring that back if we had, adequate participation, ran out of money, and additional funds were needed. So my preference would be to fix the resolution accordingly. I'm not making a particular motion. I think it's something we're socializing at this point. And maybe we take the vote, and if it passes, then we address the cap issue. I don't know. Just throwing stuff out there. And then can you explain this notion of amending, historic work plans to recover funds? Were those unused monies?
Yes. So let me answer the last question, and then I would like to go back to the first comment that you made. Yes, these are all unused funds. We've been collecting them to kind of get to a meaningful amount so we can start the project, but also Lewis Street overpass. We needed Lewis Street overpass to be completed for us to do the work on 2nd to 5th. So we've been collecting them over the years.
Okay, so just to confirm, we're not pulling a federal government where we allocate billions of dollars that we don't really have. We'll have to print. This is real money in a real account, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
On your first comment, Mayor Serrano, would it be acceptable to you and the council if we pass the resolution as is, but we can bring a new resolution that goes more into the details of the application and the program this Monday? So there's two components. And so today would be the reallocation of the CDBG funds, and then on Monday we pass something that would include the details of the application itself.
I mean, speaking for myself, I think that's fine. I think as long as we're very clear that at this point, assuming we move forward with this, and I don't know. Assuming we move forward with this, that we have articulated that we're looking at a cap of $15,000, I'm assuming per business, not per head, because you may have multiple persons in a joint venture or partnership. I do want to make sure that we're clearly articulating, if we intend a cap, whether we adopt one today, we at least telegraph to the public, hey, this is the current cap. Not to say we couldn't find future funds, but here's the current cap, and it's X per Y, and that would be dollar value per head, per business, per whatever. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that, so we don't have, again, like 4 people in a joint venture come that qualify and they take 60,000 of the 370. So that's just one thought there. And then one last passing thought was, I know you mentioned this. I believe we received it in an in an email. The notion, excuse me, the notion that the Planning Commission offered that we seek separate or a different funding, was that in lieu of or in addition to the CDBG funding?
It was in addition to CDBG funding, and that comment, I believe, was primarily, and that recommendation was primarily driven from the feedback that they were receiving during the public hearing on people's difficulty meeting the requirements of the grant. So Planning Commission's recommendation was, if this grant is what it is, and they're very familiar with CDBG grants, and they understand the difficulty with meeting federal grant requirements. So their recommendation was maybe council should look for something that has less requirements than CDBG to help this group of people.
Okay. So I guess I'll just offer my thoughts there. If this passes and we've got a hard cap at 370, and again, I'm slightly concerned about the resolution as written, because I still think we're filling gaps and holes in not having had a specific dollar per entity. And we've identified some funding that may or may not work through CDBG. If we're going to add a second source of funding, I think we need to somehow articulate that the 370, if that's the cap that we're passing, regardless of source, that it's capped at 370. I think we get there with the resolution. I'm just a little concerned, again, if we're going to, seek additional fund sources, we may cause additional confusion, and I hope we don't get into legal hot water. And that is all I have for comments and questions.
All right, thank you, Mayor Serrano. And again, I did a quick poll, and the 3 of us were also in favor of, let's get this, if we can get it passed today, and then have any addendums that need to be done on Monday, so that we get all our ducks in a row. So I guess with that, do we have any other comment by any of the other council members online? It looks like Blanche is first. Okay, Blanche, would you like to have a comment or say anything?
Thank you. Yeah, actually, I did have a couple questions, but they were already answered. It was in regards to how many applications are pending or have come in. I understand there's some concerns from people, businesses that may not qualify. Can you, and you did speak on this, reach out, Ms. Sigdell, you did speak on this. Can you, I guess, elaborate on what some disqualifiers would be?
Some of the disqualifiers, I think the majority one is related to income. So if you're making higher than their limit, that gets you out of the low to moderate income. I think that's a major disqualifier. Other disqualifiers are if you do not have your tax returns, or where we can do some comparisons on what the true impact from the construction was. That would be, so if those documents do not exist, I think there is place of, if you were a new business, I think we can still look at what was your submittal to Department of Revenue, because We can look at federal tax records, but maybe to make determinations, we need to know what you've submitted to the Washington State's Department of Revenue. Again, more paperwork. There are some businesses who might not have some of the federal identifier numbers that we're asking for. Some of them I'm speculating based on experiences from grants that were provided during COVID. But those are the challenges, major challenges that I foresee and I'm hearing about.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, and did, Leo Perales, do you have any comments, or are you good?
I do. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem. To answer Mayor Serrano's question, I think if we do need to make an addendum to it, we can do that. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that, based on what I've heard from the business owners, that we even put a dent into any of that money. Majority of those businesses don't qualify for this micro enterprise grant. So again, I mean, we can go ahead and make sure that we have some legal standing with our resolution to ensure that it's clearly clearly documented for a cap or a max or what have you. But I'm hard pressed to believe that we're going to really get anyone applying for this grant. I mean, they had a meeting. A lot of business owners were really upset with the requirements, but we all understand that we need to follow that stuff. We don't need to have the federal government coming after us because we're not following the guidelines and stuff. And so I think we should go ahead and just pass this today, see who applies, and see what we can do, and then also work on that other recommendation from the Planning Commission, which was going forward and looking for other programs that perhaps our Economic Development Department can look into. Pulling resources, having the city be that navigator, like Deputy City Manager said in the Tri-State Herald article. There's other resources in the community from TRIDEC, Pasco Chambers, and what have you. So I think we need to really start thinking about the small businesses in our community and how we're serving them. I mean, this is COVID 2.0, to be honest. We're finding out that a lot of these businesses, are not running their business entirely correctly. Some of them don't have tax returns. Some of them don't have some of these insurances. Some of them don't have, they're not doing their books. And so I think we need to take it upon ourselves. And honestly, that this is something the Downtown Development Pasco Authority should have been doing, but they're no longer here. So I think the work's going to be put on us as a city council and as a city. And so I think going forward, to me, that's what that recommendation was. I was in attendance last night at the Planning Commission. I think we need to start putting our heads together and look at how we're serving our small business community and ensuring that they have everything they need to start a business, be successful in our community. And then we have programs in cases like this where you have a public works project, essentially dead end a whole street, pulled up asphalt and concrete. You can't even get to a business. Business had to shut down. And so this is a substantial allocation, but this was definitely a substantial burden on these businesses and their livelihoods. So I think we got a lot to think about. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but I know this council, and I know everyone's heart on the council is in the right spot right now. And so there's a lot of eyes on us to see what we do next. And I look forward to working with every one of you guys to start kind of building up that economic development department and program and see where we go from this. But I just want to say thank you to the city staff and everyone else here on the city council. This has been a trying time, but we made it through it, and we're just going to continue moving on and working on this because the work doesn't stop. So I appreciate your time. And like I said, I think it's probably prudent to amend the resolution so that that's clearly, clearly documented that there is a max cap. But like I said, I'd be shocked if we put a dent into any of that money. So thank you much.
Thank you, Councilman Perales. I will say that I know all my fellow members of the council are very dedicated to this. Again, adhering to Washington state law, we could only, do what's in the Constitution, but I'm definitely, as far as allocating monies to businesses, but whatever we can do, I'm definitely, the staff, or if they need us to do anything outside of this motion to try to help the businesses, I'm definitely for it. I believe the other council members are definitely for it as well. As a business owner, it's trying when things happen outside of your control, and all you're doing is wanting to support your family. So it's definitely trying. We do feel for you. Again, I'm open to anything as far as what could be done that's within state law. And so with that, I would like to conduct the public hearing and open it up to the public. And I will ask that you keep it to 2 minutes, and just let you know the council has been following, whether it's a public hearing. We do get reports from staff. So if you have anything else that you'd like to add, please do. But we also have members that are tuning in that have other meetings coming up. So we'd like everybody to be heard, but we'd also like it to be like new information, and whether it's pro or con, please be mindful of everybody's time, and let's keep it to 2 minutes. And with that, I will open up the public hearing. And so who'd ever like to come to the podium, just make sure you hit the mic, and we are willing to hear anything you have to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Pedro from Pasco, 212 West Lewis Street, Movement Athletics. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to make this special meeting to do this. I know that it's been taking a lot of unexpected time that I'm sure you have from your businesses, personal, professional, and all that. And really, that's all I want to say. I feel and I see and I feel encouraged that you're doing this. And even though some of the members couldn't be here physically, they're logging in with us here in video camera. I know there was a regular meeting Monday, another special one that was yesterday, and then there's this. And I just feeling really well about this. And I know that there's a lot of business owners that are not going to be able to qualify given the certain circumstances. A lot of the things that Mayor Serrano talked about, businesses missing, not crossing all their T's and dotting their I's. Some of that's cultural, and a lot of that they're trying to get used to that and adapt to that in this process. So thank you for recognizing that, Mayor. And I like that you brought up the idea of doing something to help support the businesses. I know that the DPDA was meant to be that middle ground to help with supporting these businesses, and that maybe something like that comes again, and maybe it's organized differently so that there's no legal issues like I heard about going on that made it have to be dissolved. But thank you for the support and for being here. And at the moment, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro, and I appreciate the nice words. Don't hear that often, so thank you. Have anybody else that would like to? Looks like Valerie's stepping up. You just turned off your mic, sorry.
There we go. So my name's Valerie with Lewis Street Tire at 220 West Lewis Street. I am one of the businesses that does not qualify. And my only comment that I have, well, I have two comments. I am here still continuing to fight for it, even if I don't qualify, because I do think it's important for those who do to have that ability to do so. It is very detrimental to all of us. It's been not just a physical, monetary headache, it's been emotional, it's been a lot. And it's very unfortunate that Lewis Street Tire falls into nothing again. So I do want to reiterate that I think it's important to look for additional funding. I don't think that we are, like Leo said, we're not going to touch that money. So yes, it's going to get moved over, but I'm interested to see how much is really left over at the end, because out of the 39 businesses, only 5 applications have been turned in. That's not just because people don't want to turn it in. That's not because people don't need the money. It's because we don't meet the requirements. And I hate to even say that, but when we got COVID funds, it wasn't this difficult. We got that done easily. And I think that if that money is not touched and it's not dented into, which I don't think it will be, it's important to look for additional funding that's not federal, because in a sense it feels like the city gets to wash their hands and say, I helped, too bad, not my problem, you don't qualify. And then the fingers are blamed on the federal part of it, the federal loan aspect of it, yet we're still real people that have no problem solved. So I am thankful for those who do qualify. That's why I continue to come up here. I continue to show up day after day after day, and I will continue to do that, even though our personal business does not reap any benefit. So I do want to just urge to please continue to look for other avenues. maybe not federal programs that have such tight guidelines so that other people can find the same type of relief. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Valerie, and I could speak for the council that we definitely are extremely engaged. I mean, I know talking to my other council members, we devote a lot of time to this, the whole city business, and I just say that our hearts really do go out, and anything that we could do, and it's not like, you know, in 2 months we're gonna wash our hands and say, oh, good riddance. You know, I think you guys have been engaged, we have other people that have been engaged, so we still will be on this trying to make what was right. And again, all we're doing is trying to make our city better, and the bridge will make it better. And I was glad that I was able to go over it last week. But again, we are still working. I don't think that any member of this council is just happy that if you guys don't show up in the next couple of weeks or months. So just want to reiterate that we are very dedicated to this. So do we have other people in the audience that would like to speak? We got a second call. Anybody in the audience that would like to get up and speak? Please approach the podium. And the mic's already on.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Elidio Ramírez,
Good afternoon, I'm Elidio Ramirez.
dueño de Servicios de Limpieza B3E.
I am the owner of cleaning services in B3E.
Nada más me gustaría agradecerles por su tiempo también.
I just want to say thank you for your time as well.
Y no tengo mucho que decir, nada más unas palabras que si ustedes en realidad nos quieren ayudar a todos, sí pueden.
I don't have very much to say, but I just want to say a few things. If you guys really wanted to help us, you guys can.
Pero si no quieren, entonces claro que no van a poder ayudarnos.
But if you
Gracias.
don't want to, then of course you're not going to be able to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience?
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es María Díaz, propietaria de Estudio 41.
I'm
Con-
Maria Diaz. Good afternoon. I'm the owner of Studio 41.
Con todo respeto, les quiero agradecer que el proyecto que hicieron, pues sí, está muy bonito. Lamentablemente sí tuvimos pérdidas. Los negocios, yo soy otra de las que no califican con la cotización que ustedes pusieron.
And with all due respect, it's a beautiful project that you guys have done, even though it has come at a loss to us. I am also one of the businesses that doesn't meet the requirements that were set.
Y siento como una responsabilidad por levantarme aquí a hablar por trabajadores que tengo en el estudio. Somos 9 los trabajadores. En mi parking lot está una taco truck y desgraciadamente también ellos tuvieron que cerrar la mayoría del tiempo. Mis trabajadores, lo que ellos generaban semana a semana o mensualmente, si tuvieron mucha pérdida. Entonces sí me gustaría que consideraran eso y pues trataran de ayudar de la mejor manera.
And I feel a great sense of responsibility to be here and speak on behalf of my 9 employees. And on my parking lot, there's also a taco truck, which they've had to shut down during most of the time. And with my employees, there has been, whether it's weekly or monthly, they have had a loss in their wages.
Y lamento esto por ellos porque pues definitivamente si ellos no generan, ellos no trabajan para mí, son independientes todos y pues si no generan pues no, ¿cómo? Todos están atrasados porque ellos me pagan semana a semana o al mes, entonces todos están atrasados con sus rentas conmigo.
And I really feel for them because they're all independent workers, and they haven't had any income coming in, so they are behind on their rent.
Ya, y por último quiero agregar que yo trabajé en el campo, trabajé en los campos, vengo desde bien abajo. Trabajé para la Weston en Richland y la cotización que ustedes tienen de como $55,000, yo eso lo hacía en la planta. Entonces, pues de qué sirviera tener un negocio si ¿para qué tener tanto dolor de cabeza como pagar aseguranzas, taxes? Si es mejor $55,000, yo lo seguiría haciendo en una planta. Entonces sí me gustaría que nos sentáramos a negociar para que nadie más tenga que venir a hablar por nosotros.
And I did used to work in field work, and I used to work at Lamb Weston. My income there was $55,000, and that's the quote that you guys set on the requirements. But but would it be worth it if I want to have my own business so I can make more than that? But it's not worth it then, because you have to deal with insurances and taxes. So I really would like to sit down and negotiate with you guys to encourage business owners.
Y es todo lo que quería decir. Muchas
That's
gracias.
everything that I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Blanca García. Tengo un negocio en el 218 West Lewis Street. Mi esposo también tiene su negocio ahí. Está justo enfrente de la nueva construcción. Hermosa construcción. Va a atraer mucha gente, muchos nuevos clientes al área. Se renovó el área, se mira hermoso, pero no queremos que olviden que hay consecuencias también para nuestros negocios.
My name is Blanca. My business is on 218 Lewis Street. It's right in front of the construction. My husband also has a business there. And the new construction, it was beautiful. It's going to bring new clients to our area. But don't forget the consequences that we're living with.
Como ya saben todos ustedes nuestra historia de cada negocio, que hubo pérdidas económicas, hubo cierre, no contábamos con banquetas, no contábamos con estacionamientos, pasamos un momento difícil durante la construcción.
And as each of you guys know, each of our stories, a lot of us had to close. We didn't have sidewalks. We didn't have parking, and it was a really hardship that we had to go through during construction.
Estábamos con la esperanza de la ayuda de ustedes para volver a levantar nuestros negocios. Al mirar los requisitos de la aplicación, por el momento yo sentí como una cachetada en la cara. ¿Por qué? Porque muchos no van a calificar.
And I was really hopeful when you guys were trying to help, but when I saw the requirements, it was like a slap in the face because I knew that a lot of businesses were not going to qualify.
Por eso les pido que busquen los recursos, las ayudas para los negocios que están afectados, que estamos afectados. Se ha perdido dinero, se han perdido clientes. Teníamos metas para este año 2024 como negocio, las cuales no las vamos a cumplir a causa de todas estas pérdidas que ha habido. Nos va a tomar un año más para levantarnos y para volver a crecer.
And I ask you guys to find the resources to help these businesses that were affected, because there was loss. We did lose money. We did lose clients. Most of us had goals for 2024 that we're not going to be able to meet. We're going to have to go through another year to be able to restart those again.
Solo eso, les agradezco si trabajan en buscar fondos, trabajar en equipo con nosotros para poder solucionar y que salga lo mejor para todos. Gracias.
That's it. I just want you guys to find the resources and work together with us to help us out. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and again, we'll try our best. Is there anybody else? We got a third and final call. Please step up.
Muy buenas tardes, señores. Ah, cambiando un poquito del tema, yo no vengo a solicitar ayuda porque yo no estoy corriendo un negocio. Yo nomás vengo como dueño de, de dos negocios que tengo ahí que fueron muy afectados y pues mis inquilinos están aquí presentes, los que me están rentando los dos negocios y somos los que estamos en la pura esquina que fuimos muy afectados. Entonces, yo estaba muy confiado por los parqueaderos. No quiero hablar ahorita por los parqueaderos porque yo sé que no es el tema, pero yo nomás quisiera saber cuándo va a ser otra junta para yo poder hablar de esta situación porque estoy muy preocupado porque ellos ya me están diciendo que es muy posible que ya no me van a renovar los negocios. Digo, perdón, los lease. Y yo tengo un mortgage y estoy muy preocupado. Estos negocios los tenemos de hace casi 20 años. Es nuestro retiro. Estoy muy preocupado y pues quiero ser breve.
So I just wanted to change the subject a little bit, and I didn't come here to ask for help. I'm here to speak on behalf of two owners that have a lease here. They were on. They are here today. They are on the corner of the business that was very affected, and I also maybe this is not the right meeting, but I wanted to know when it was the right time to speak about the parking because we are. I am very affected by that. And the lease, we've been having them there for 20 years. They say that they might not renew the lease.
Y pues estoy muy preocupado y yo quisiera después venir a una junta para exponer mi situación porque realmente tengo un mortgage y si ellos me van a dejar los edificios va a ser muy difícil yo poder rentar en la situación que está pasando.
And I'm really worried, and I want to know when I can come to a meeting and voice my concerns because I have a mortgage to pay, and then if they don't renew it, I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
Perdón por su tiempo, pero voy a tratar de a ver si puedo hablar con alguien después y tratar esta situación.
Sorry to take your time, but I want to speak with somebody about this.
A ver si se puede hacer una reconciliación de parqueaderos por mis dos edificios que fueron muy afectados.
To see if there's a reconciliation that can be done for my the parking of my two businesses that were really affected.
Okay, so just to let you know on where the public hearing is on this topic, but I would ask maybe talk to staff, whether it be Jacob Gonzalez after the meeting, maybe if you could stay and if we could translate and he could kind of fill you in on that. But on this particular meeting, we're just trying to stick with just doing the grants and that sort of stuff. So I appreciate your concern, but we'd just like to stick on topic. But I would ask you to meet up after this meeting, or if there was another time that was mutually beneficial.
Pueden hablar con los empleados si tienen alguna pregunta más de los parqueaderos.
All right, so do we have anybody else that wants to talk about this motion, or I guess we do?
Hello, my name is Wendy, and my business is located on 104 South Tacoma Street. I've been talking to Leo, which he's not here, but Leo, thank you for getting a hold of me. I was in the meeting yesterday, and as you guys know, Tacoma Street is completely shut down right now. That's where my customers would be able to come in to be able to do their drop-offs with their trailers. I'm going to say about 3 weeks ago, I was told that the city owns a lot next to the storage and that the fencing there would be able to be moved so that my customers could use that as a U-turn to be able to get their vehicles in and out and obviously facilitate with the trailer. As of now, nothing has happened. Also, I was informed that the signage was going to be moved where it says that the roads are closed. That hasn't happened. They told us that they were going to be able to move it to the side, and it keeps moving back to the middle of the road, which means my customers continue calling me frustrated. Hey, it's closed. What's going on? As of last month, my business literally made maybe $1,000, and my business has just been open for 1 year, and it sucks because my husband and I started this in our garage. Sorry, this is very emotional,
We didn't understand, so just
and
calm down.
it's frustrating. It's frustrating because I as well am one of the businesses that wouldn't qualify for the funding because of our EIN number. We were in the process of getting it. Unfortunately, that's a whole process that we're gonna have to wait for another 6 to 7 months, which by that time the application is going to be closed. So I would say if you guys could please take into consideration maybe looking somewhere else for those funds for all of us that do have everything in line, and the only thing that is holding us back would be that number, that EIN number, which unfortunately we have no control over, and we're waiting on pretty much IRS to get back to us on that. So thank you guys so much for your time, and I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for coming up here. All right, well, I'm not seeing anybody else. I guess we do have one more.
Hi, my name is Josue Lean. I'm from Jupiles Raulas. I'm the owner. There's 3 owners, so there's my partners over here. So the only thing I want to say, every time we are here talking with you guys, this is the first time I'm here, facing to you guys. But so my business, we're not qualified because we are mortified persons. This business is family business. So I have my sister-in-law, my nephews working, my niece. Some of those are, in college, taking classes and everything. And it's hard, we had, sincerely, there was sometimes there was customers and everything. The traffic was something for us. And the only thing, we was affected, but maybe not to the point that we had to close because we are mobile. But sincerely, it was very hard, and it wasn't in my feelings to sell but to my nephews, hey, you know what, you cannot work in here. I need to keep my family because all depends on the business and everything. And sometimes we don't have only one replacement for the whole day. And, so we was thinking, kind of frustration, how we're gonna pay, but we are family, we have to help each other because some of my nephews, his grandfather, he has cancer, so he had to, support him. And like us, we have family and everything. I'm a single dad, and my wife, and the 2 more owners. There was, we was 4 people. My wife, she passed away for cancer. There was one of when we start all 4, and right now we're 3, and it's now, to let it go like that. It was hard to start that business, and just to let it go something like that it's not fair. It's if you guys they can do something else, do it, and if you guys they can transfer those funds to different place and more people they can apply, it would be better because there's a lot of things that you guys require, and no one else they wanna apply and everything. So
Just so you know, it's the state, how these programs are run. We have to have our dots and I's crossed. So it's not like, we as a council don't want to help you. We do want to help you. It just take time. Unfortunately, I think we're all for expedient as quick as we can. That's why we're here today, to get this moving. We do realize that there's a lot of people that aren't going to qualify. We've been reading the reports. We hear it loud and clear. my heart does definitely go out to you. I think all the council members' hearts goes out to you. We have been down there. We are engaged. It's now just if there's funds to be found and how much and what we could do. We are going to ask the tough questions of the city staff. We'll do whatever we can. But again, we do feel 100% for you. Again, we're kind of have our hands, tied because again, we can only do what the state tells us to do, or the liability comes back on us. So again, we're trying to work within the bounds of the law. We did uphold an oath to do what the Constitution of the state of Washington says. So we do want to help you guys. This is not going away. We're going to do whatever we can, but we just need, time. And I know time is of the essence for you guys, but we're going to be talking about this behind closed doors. We're going to be doing what we can to try to help you guys. I mean, that's only what we can do. I do hear you guys loud and clear, and I think everybody else hears you guys loud and clear. So I do appreciate you coming up here and telling us your story. That's all we could do, and I think I'd kind of like to move this forward.
Yeah, well, thank you. And like I said, because they say that it was some person that were not qualified, but I didn't hear the more, when it's more than 5 people. And we always talk every time that, we come in here, and that means that they're not putting the notes that, if we say we cannot qualify because we have more than 5 people, they should be in the list already, so they can help us later on. Because if they're trying to move the funds to different, but it's gonna be the same thing. 5 people don't qualify,
And we'll see what we can do. Again, I can't make promises. All I can do is uphold the law and do what we can as a council within the scope of the law. But we will do everything we can. Again, we will try to leave no stone unturned and do what we can to help. I mean, again, this is number one on our priority. We've been voted a lot of time to this. We do feel for you guys. We do want to help out whenever we can. So this issue isn't going away once you leave the podium or you leave this chambers. We still will be working on it. And again, all we can do is try our best. And that's all I ask you guys to, uphold us by what we're trying to do for you guys.
Yeah, we will, and thank you for the bridge. It's very beautiful, and also the lines, for the cars and everything. I don't know if you had time. I don't know if you tried already, but it's kind of, they have to make
it's not
some
finished
change
yet,
on that. So
But thank you. The bridge isn't finished yet.
Thank
But
you.
we're just trying to get it move traffic along, but it'll still have tweaks in it. So thank you. Okay, for the sake of time, do we have any more? I know we have other council members that have other meetings to attend to, and we're at the 3:00 hour, but if we could say something that's important to this, so we can get the vote, I'd appreciate it, okay?
Mayor Pro Tem?
¿Está prendido? Hola, buenas tardes. Soy José Caballero, dueño de Mexiquín Taquería, que está ubicada en el parqueadero Estudio 41.
I'm the owner of Mexican Taqueria that's in the parking lot of Studio 41.
Yo nada más quería agregar algo. A nosotros nos dejaron fuera de toda calificación para el dinero.
I just want to say something. We were completely left out of the whole qualification process.
Porque el mapa nomás dice que de la 2 a la Oregon.
Because on the map it only says from 2nd to Oregon.
So, yo estoy aquí de todas maneras para apoyar a los business porque sí hemos batallado mucho con los clientes.
But I'm here regardless to help out the other businesses because we have struggled.
Y en realidad yo le debo 2 meses al que me está rentando, que es la dueña del Estudio 41.
And I'm 2 months behind on my lease to the owner she's the owner of Studio 41.
So, en realidad sí nos afectó muchísimo del puente que hicieron ahí.
So the bridge really did have an impact on us.
Pero aún así estoy aquí para ayudar a los demás y que por favor, para que bajen para que califiquen, para que agarren su dinero.
Regardless, I'm here so the other business qualifies so they can get some money.
Y por último, les quiero dar las gracias porque se toman su tiempo para tratar de ayudarnos en lo que sea. Pero también si cambiaran el mapa, pues estaría bien, ¿verdad? Para no estar behind en el pago de la renta y de trabajé gratis como todo este tiempo.
And I just want to say, lastly, thank you very much for taking your time. And if you could change the map, because I pretty much worked for free all this time.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And with that, I know we're starting to get things that other councilmen have other things they need to go to. So I'd like to get this vote so we can move this forward. So with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I would like to get a motion from Ms. Blasdale.
I move to approve resolution number 4445, amending the program years 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 Community Development Block Grant Allocations and Annual Action Work Plan to reallocate funds.
Can I get a second on that?
This is Blanche, I second.
Okay, well, with that, I would like to get our roll call, just so we have everybody on the record for this.
Councilmember Barajas.
Yes.
Councilmember Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilmember Grimm.
Yes.
Councilmember Harpster.
Yes.
Councilmember Perales. Councilmember Perales.
Yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Yes, it was having a hard time opening. I also wanted to see if we can make an amendment to the motion.
At this moment, we're just doing this, but I'd hope that on Monday we could clarify anything else, but I prefer to stick with the topic at hand.
It has to do with the topic at hand.
I don't have Ferguson here to ask about the legality of that, but I know we just asked for your yay or nay, so I would actually ask.
I'm going to channel Mr. Ferguson here and see how much I've learned, and Mayor Serrano could probably correct me.
Yeah.
I would recommend you go through, maybe we restart the vote, and
I don't know, we're in the
never mind,
process
I've
of
not
the vote,
learned
so-
enough from Mr. Ferguson.
I would say our cleanest is to either, I think we probably need to conclude the vote. The other option would be to have Mr. Perales make a motion to table that, and then we'd have to vote on that motion.
Okay. But it was just, I thought there was going to be discussion. It was just going to make an amendment to allow the applications to be open for at least a year. So if people need to get the necessary documents, they can supply those. But it would just be a year from when we deem it effective, that this application is, as soon as we allocate the funds right now. That's all I wanted to see.
Well, I'd prefer that we have the
Maybe need to get
discussion on
more
Monday. I
documents.
know we have people that need to go back to work, so I prefer that we vote on this now, and then I'd ask you to bring this up on Monday when we do our more fine tuning of this motion. So if I could I get you just to say yay or nay on this?
I'll go ahead and say yay, but I don't see why we can't make an amendment to the motion.
If the amendment to the motion is only 1 year, there are funds that will be expiring before that 1 year. So we can look into exactly when that date is where some of the funds will be expiring, given some of the funds are from 2021. So we can come back with more of that information on Monday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you. So that was a yes.
That was a yes, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne
It's a yes from me.
and Mayor Serrano.
No.
So that's a 6-1 and it passes.
Okay, so with that, the next one on the docket is number 5, which is adjournment. So unless there's anything else for the order, I think we are done. Thank you for attending, and thank you for all your comments. Appreciate it.